Right, but we start this hour with a little bit of breaking news for you because the Premier League Player of the Season has just been announced. The votes are public and combined with an expert panel of football events to decide the winner. And Bruno Fernandes has won. He's equalled the Premier League assist record, remember, for a single season with 20. Level now with Kevin De Bruyne and former Arsenal striker Thierry Henry. He could, of course, break that record against Brighton tomorrow. He was the Football Writers Player of the Year as well. So it is double award for him, beaten the likes of Gabriel, David Raya, Declan Rice and Erling Haaland to that award.
Bruno Fernandes winning Premier League Player of the Season honestly says everything about where Manchester United would be without him right now. Because let's be real for a second. How many times this season have we watched United look completely flat, completely lifeless, and then Bruno just drags the entire team forward by himself? That's why this award feels bigger than just numbers. It feels like recognition for carrying one of the heaviest jobs in football. And the scary part, I still think Bruno doesn't get enough respect outside of United fans. For years, people have tried to reduce him to just penalties or too emotional or gives the ball away too much. But this season completely killed that conversation. Because when United were struggling, when the attack disappeared, when confidence dropped, when injuries hit, Bruno Fernandes still showed up every single week. And honestly, I think this has been the most complete version of Bruno we've seen since he joined Manchester United. Not just goals and assists, leadership, responsibility, work rate, big moments, dragging standards up. There were games this season where he looked like the only player on the pitch who actually understood what wearing the United shirt is supposed to mean. And fans notice that. Even in bad performances, Bruno never hides. That matters at a club like Manchester United, because the pressure here is different. When things go wrong at United, the noise becomes unbearable. Every mistake gets magnified. Every bad result becomes a crisis. Some players disappear under that pressure. Bruno almost seems to thrive in it. That's why this award feels deserved beyond just stats. Because if we're being honest, United have not had a smooth season at all. There were periods where the football was frustrating, inconsistent, even chaotic at times. Yet somehow, Bruno still managed to produce moments that kept the club alive in important situations. And what I find interesting is how people are finally starting to appreciate the side of Bruno that United fans have been talking about for years: the mentality. You can criticize his style sometimes, sure. He takes risks, he tries difficult passes, he forces things occasionally. But you know why? Because he actually wants to make something happen. Too many modern players play safe football. Too many players protect their passing accuracy. Too many players avoid responsibility. Bruno is the opposite. He plays like somebody who feels personally offended when Manchester United aren't winning. That emotion is part of what makes him special. And honestly, this season may have silenced one of the biggest arguments against him. People used to say, can Bruno perform when United aren't dominating? Can he lead during difficult periods? Can he still influence games in a struggling side? Well, he just answered all of that. Because winning Player of the Season while United are still nowhere near their best actually makes it more impressive. Think about that. Usually, these awards go to players in perfectly functioning systems, players surrounded by confidence, structure, momentum. Bruno had to create momentum himself half the time. And this is where the bigger conversation about Manchester United starts. Because if Bruno is producing at this level in an unstable team, what happens if United actually build a proper balanced side around him again? That's the exciting part. People talk about rebuilds, new signings, tactics, systems, all important, obviously, but having a player like Bruno at the center of it all gives United something most struggling clubs don't have: a guaranteed mentality monster, a player who refuses to accept mediocrity. And honestly, that mentality has probably become even more valuable than his creativity now. You can see younger players looking toward him constantly during games. You can see fans feeding off his energy too. Old Trafford reacts to Bruno because supporters recognize effort, they recognize passion, especially during difficult seasons. And look, Bruno will never be the perfect player. He's emotional, sometimes reckless, sometimes chaotic, but maybe that's exactly why United fans love him. Because Manchester United historically has never really been about robotic footballers. The club has always loved players with personality, emotion, risk, confidence, players willing to take responsibility in huge moments. That's Bruno Fernandes. And if I'm being honest, without him this season could have looked a lot darker for Manchester United. That's why this award matters. Not because it suddenly proves he's world class. Most United fans already knew that. It matters because the wider football world is finally recognizing just how much responsibility this guy carries every single week for Manchester United. And now the challenge becomes simple. United cannot waste these years of Bruno Fernandes. You don't get many players with this level of mentality, durability, creativity, and leadership all at once. The club has to build properly around him while he's still in this level of form. Because players like Bruno can change the entire direction of a football club when the structure around them is right. But what do you think? Has Bruno Fernandes been underrated for years, or is this finally the season where everybody is starting to appreciate just how important he really is to Manchester United?